So today on Dylan Talks Tone, we're going to talk about Stratocasters and the ones specifically that are made in Mexico. Which one should you buy? That's the question. So we're out here on the Savannah River today, and Leslie got a new zoom lens, so she's gonna be playing with zooming on stuff. Oh look, an amphitheater. Too bad we don't have like an amp, because we have a theater already. Oh look, shade, let's go over there. Okay, so last week we shot a video about which American Strat should you buy, because there's so many models of them. So this week we're going to talk about the Mexican ones. So we've got the Noventa, the Vintera, the Deluxe, and the Player, right? Those are the ones? Okay, so let's first talk about the Noventa series, because that's kind of off in its own little world, kind of its own thing. Pretty interesting. It's got the Slim C taper, so a little bit faster. That's my favorite neck profile, the Slim C. It's got a pale ferro fretboard instead of rosewood, which is common with a lot of guitars these days. It's got a synthetic bone nut. It's got the two P90s in it through a hardtail bridge, so no tremolo, which is pretty cool. And a 9.5-inch fretboard radius. So this thing's really meant to be just, you're just supposed to rip on this thing, right? Like, it's not really vintagey. I guess that's why they call it Noventa. Like, it's not as vintage, just a cool combination of stuff. All right, let's talk about the Player series, because I think that's the series that I think a lot of people really are going to, well, that's a pretty popular series. Let's chat about that one. So the Player series, this is probably one of the most popular questions that we get. Like, if people call us and say, I just bought a Player series, what pickups should I put in it, etc., etc. This is, to me, this is the one you buy, you upgrade, you do all kind of stuff. The Player series is the jam. This is the one we make loaded pick guards for. This is the one we make a lot of pickups for. Really cool thing. So what is it? It is a player's guitar. That's why they call it. So again, we've got that modern C shape neck, which is just super chill and easy to play, with medium jumbo frets on it and a 9.5-inch radius fretboard. Super, again, just super easy to play, middle of the road. You know, you get into the vintage spec necks, and sometimes the setup can be a little different. Sometimes you can get some fret buzz with some bends and stuff. Not with a 9.5. Just an easy guitar to play. In my opinion, of the Mexico-made stuff, this is the one you buy and then you just start jamming. First you play it until you're tired of it, and then you start modding it. Links for all that stuff below. One of the other things with that Player series is it's got the 2-post tremolo. So now we move into the Vintera series, and that's supposed to really just be like a closer but more attainable price point of a vintage-ish style guitar, but not totally vintage. So let's chat about that. 7.25 fretboard radius. Those vintage tall, narrower, taller frets. Synthetic bone nut. And you got the soft V on the 50s version, and you've got the C on the 60s version. So there's, again, two different ones, sort of like the original American. So you've got a 50s version of the Vintera and a 60s version. Pickups are going to be a little bit different, but the main thing is going to be that neck profile. That neck profile is, in my opinion, the biggest difference. I'm not a soft V fan. In our other video, we talked about the fact that if you're a soft V guy, you might be the guy that hooks over your thumb a lot. I'm not a big soft V person, I'm a C person, so I'm gonna go for the 60s version of this. Now, they also have a hot version, like a hot rodded, modded version of these Vintera 50s and 60s. They're a little bit different. So they've got hotter pickups, they've got a 2-post tremolo, they've got a modern C and a 9.5. So we're taking, this is the modded ones are like a mix between a vintage spec guitar and like the Player Series guitar. It's like a mix between the two. If it was me, I would probably at this point just buy the Player Series. If you wanted the vintage style, then I wouldn't get the modded one. I'd just get the regular Vintera series, except that the Road Worn comes with lacquer finish. So to take all the confusion out of this, you basically what you have is you have a Vintera series with 50s and 60s. That's mainly going to be pickups and neck profile. Do you want the V or the C? With the V, get the 50s. With the C, get the 60s. In my opinion, the 60s is the jam there. If you want a nitrocellulose lacquer finish, you have to get the Road Worn one. I know a lot of people don't like pre-relic stuff, but you get a nitro finish with that, and that's a pretty reasonably priced guitar. Very, very cool. The main thing with these Vintera models that are the regular Vintera models is they do have that 7 1/4 vintage fretboard radius. Now, a lot of people don't like 7 1/4. I'm not a fan of it, but it is more vintage correct. You just have to make sure that your setup is good so that you don't have choke points with bends and stuff. It's just a setup thing. It's not a bad thing, it's just different, and it's a setup thing to make sure that your setup is good on your guitar to make sure that it plays well. Okay, so the Deluxe series is a little bit different. It's got that's the guitar I have. So that's the white Strat that you've seen in our videos. It has a 9-volt battery. It has a 6-way switch. It has a preamp. It has narrow, tall frets. It has a 12-inch radius fretboard, which is a lot flatter. I love that. And it has vintage noiseless pickups. Now, I took the vintage noiseless pickups out, and I put my own pickups in. I'll leave a link to what we replaced them with down below.
I got a picture of that squirrel.
You did get a picture of that squirrel.
Anyway.
And, you know, with these bodies, we can crop way tight and still get away with it.
Anyway, yeah, just trying to figure out what it's capable of. But yeah, it seems like it can't be too close, but it can't be too far. There's going to be some happy spot in the middle.
Some happy medium in the middle.
Yes.
Makes
and then
sense.
It will probably be great.
Okay, so now that we got a synopsis on the zoom lens, let's get a synopsis on which Mexican Stratocaster should you buy. If we're talking about a more modern take on the guitar and you just want a guitar that just plays well, the Player Stratocaster is probably the jam. Middle of the road neck profiles with that modern C, middle of the road and easy to get used to 9.5-inch radius on the fretboard, very easy to get used to fret sizes. And I should mention that all of these guitars have Alnico pickups in them. They're not the Squire cheapy pickups that you see like on eBay for $5. These are actually really good pickups. Whether you like how they sound or not, obviously that's relative and you know, pretty subjective. I'm personally going to swap them out because I'm kind of a pickup junkie, obviously, and I'm going to put our Classic 5s from Dylan Talks Tone pretty much in any of these Strats, except for the Noventa, obviously, with P90s in it. I would put our P90s in it. So we actually have a demo of a 2 P90 Strat on our website. You can check it out. If you wanted a more vintagey kind of correct Strat, then the Vintera is definitely the one for you. Just remember that you're going to be going to a 7 1/4 fretboard radius, and you're going to be going to those narrow, tall frets, and you have a choice then of a more vintage style neck profile. Like if you go to the 50s one, you're going to have that V, and the 60s one, you're going to have a C. So, you know, the Vintera for the vintage lovers among us who do not want to spend American original money, right? So pretty good guitar. And don't forget that if you can deal with a little bit of relicking, the Road Worn ones have a nitro finish. Pretty cool. And then if you want something really wacky, you can get and with noiseless pickups in it. The only Mexico-made Strat of, you know, the normal lines that you can get with noiseless pickups in it is that Roadhouse Deluxe that I have. And that is a really good guitar. I had to do a little work to it, setup obviously, but it was a really good guitar now. Obviously I took the pickups out and sold them, but if you want those noiseless pickups, that's the one to have. Should you even buy a made in Mexico Strat? I think yes. I think yes, you should. I did it. I'd buy another one. The American stuff is very cool, but if you saw our other video, and we put that little gray thing up there a little while ago that you could go see that, those guitars are very specific. They are actually, to me, more confusing than the made in Mexico stuff. This made in Mexico stuff is fairly direct. Do you want old version or new version? And you just pick one and you pick a color. I think it's pretty cool. Let me know in the comments what you play, what you favor, and let me know if you want me to do this kind of breakdown with the Telecaster stuff too, because these vendor websites have hundreds of guitars. Now, obviously, we did not cover any of the special edition stuff, any of the short run stuff, any of the like artist stuff. This is just like the main lines that everybody always asks about. I get emails about it all the time. What pickups are in them? They're all various versions of El Nico 5 single coils, or humbuckers if you get the single hum version, or that noiseless pickup in the Roadhouse. So pretty cool. Thanks for hanging out. If you have any questions about this or anything else, put it in the comments. Let me know what you play. Make sure you check out our Patreon. Make sure you check out the little join button down there, as well as our live shows on Thursday and our videos on Mondays and Fridays. Thanks for hanging out.